3, 2. Ladies and gentlemen, happy hump day. It's Weintraub Wednesday over here.
It is Weintraub
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
It's Tuesday.
Yeah, but see, the thing about show business, Dave, is...
Yeah. You guys are in show business?
Yeah.
Wait, hold on.
This might be your first time.
This is show business?
Is this your first rodeo?
Oh, my God. It's
lights?
Happy Wednesday.
See the lights, Dave?
Happy Wednesday. Okay.
This is big budget
For
stuff.
tomorrow. Okay, got it.
Yes.
We try to get you a big Hollywood guest. The guy doesn't know it's fucking Wednesday.
Sheesh, doesn't know how production works.
I know I didn't realize we were day and date here. I got it. Okay. Do you guys know what day and date means?
No.
Okay. So if you're in production, day and date means like it's a show that you shoot the same day, airs that same night. I figured you would know a little.
No, because we never did that. We were 3 months out.
Yeah.
I never did day and date.
All those
years.
Thanks for the useless
Did you watch
TV
the
lingo.
Big Brother documentary?
I did.
Did you like that documentary?
I did because for me there was so much history.
Right. Were you in it?
I don't think so.
I thought you were in it.
There might have been a clip.
There was a
Robin
clip
Big
of
or
you.
something.
Yeah. That was an excellent documentary, by the way.
I agree.
I thought so.
Okay, let's stop talking to each other and talk to the rest of the world.
Hey,
world. It is Wednesday in podcast land. We have a very special guest, Mr. David Weintraub. He is a good friend of ours. We've known him for years and years. He's responsible for probably 80% of our talent at our parties, performances, that sort of stuff.
Had some good years.
And he, as of most recently, has really become just a television mogul. Just
You like
pumping
that,
out
mogul?
TV shows.
I like that. Guru, mogul.
I mean, I feel like this may be kind of rude.
Yeah.
Check me if it is. But I feel like you kind of went from managing these rap guys and whatever to really transitioning into just packaging and selling TV shows.
Yeah.
I've known David since college. Okay?
You have the more realistic.
This guy was wearing death row chains.
Yeah.
He had an identity crisis that still exists.
Yeah. I was
He
gonna
doesn't
say,
actually think he's a white Jewish kid from Sherman Oaks, Beverly
Beverly
Hills,
Hills,
wherever.
yeah. But I am.
But you are.
Yeah.
And I saw him get in the music game. Then all of a sudden he started wearing suits because I think you're an agent.
I was an agent,
At UTA.
William Morris, UTA.
Okay. And then fast forward, then I see him back to wearing baggy clothes.
I don't wear baggy clothes.
$100,000 watches. And then I'm like, are you selling drugs? And then he got into TV.
Yeah. And some of the art, I mean, you were managing Too Short and...
Still am. 15 years strong.
You are, huh?
Yeah.
God, who else? Name us some of the other ones.
Ray J.
Yep.
And then obviously we invented Ray and Short are my main guys that have consistent huge businesses that do their tours, do their TV shows, do their movies, do their branding, do their merchandise, do everything. So those guys are full-time businesses. And then, we sprinkle off into a lot of the reality, non-scripted hosts, celebrity chefs.
Yeah.
Celebrity, bizarre. I've worked with everybody from Sarah Palin to 50 Cent, Lil
You're
Wayne.
also hustling Bone Thugs. And
Yeah, I've had all the old school. I mean, all the old school guys like the Dog Pound and Bone Thugs and
Definitely
Scarface,
Warren G, right?
Warren G for sure. They're all part of that staple. Not everybody's a full-time day-to-day business, but everybody has a role, and I do a lot of deals for stuff. It's like when you guys have your party, who can we get? And pretty much everyone is a phone call away, so we can get anyone that we want. You just have to come with that little cha-ching.
Yeah.
Cha-ching. These guys don't always come with the cha-ching. They come with the the bag of coins. They're like, hey, can we get Lil Wayne for $5,000? I'm like, are you out of your fucking mind?
There's a reason why we're still here, David.
But then I'll be like, look, I got ASAP Ferg for you guys for $11,000. That's really cheap. And they're like,
You're too much.
It's a little high. I'm like, but he's getting 30 the next night.
Yeah, we'll take Busy Bone.
That's why this is CFO right here.
Can I ask you one question, David, about your business style? Is you operate in a very ruthless world. It's pretty harsh, pretty blunt.
Yep.
Have you always been that way, and this seemed like the right business for you?
Well, Deacon. Listen, I'm a former talent agent, record executive, turned manager, TV producer, and the star of some of my own shows. Yeah. I've created over 500 hours of television. I got some big hits on the air. I got some big hits coming out. For me, this is a ruthless business, of course, but you have to be willing to separate out what's worth, putting all your time into and giving a fuck about and what's not. And I think the older that we get in this game, we learn that, you cannot care about what everyone thinks of you. If I gave a fuck what anyone thought of me, I would still be, in a suit every day working for the man at UTA, and I'd be a partner and I'd have a happy little whatever, but I wouldn't be able to live my own life the way that I want to do it on my own terms.
You're reminiscent of like old school entertainment.
Yeah, you are.
You're not like a new school guy to me.
Because the new school guys are pussies and they work for people. These people, you work for a fucking salary. Your year is capped at 200. Your bonus is capped at 50. I'll go do one gig and I'm gonna walk away with 250. So I don't look at it like that. If you don't take that chance, you don't take that shot, you're gonna be stuck in this little thing. I, however, found a niche. My niche was non-scripted television and hip hop artists.
Yeah.
And there was a marrying of those worlds, which even started way back when we were in college, because, I was a kid like at 18 years old as an A&R looking for artists at Death Row Records, working there. And part of it was, my next door neighbor growing up my whole life is Adam Levine. And my first artist that I kind of worked with that really was like an unknown that made it to the top was Eminem. So I saw the grind before I ever did the grind.
Yeah.
So you just learn it differently. I mean, and hats off to you guys, because you guys we're all the same generation. I mean, these guys had one T-shirt. You had one T-shirt. You were like, we have a T-shirt. And it was like a class project, and now they have a clothing empire. So it's like when you know people for 20 plus years, which we're almost kind of there.
Yeah, we are.
I think we are, because I'm 40.
Yeah.
We've seen the highs and the lows of that game.
And the show that you have on the air right now that's the big success is
Love and Hip Hop Hollywood.
Yeah.
So Ray J, is one of my longtime clients. All of his TV shows, I'm executive producer, partner in, and we're going in our 7th season, and it's been a very big success. He's the highest paid person on VH1. I'm the architect of this deal, and I like to equate Ray to being kind of like the Brad Pitt, George Clooney of the reality television business.
Wait, you know what's interesting?
Talk about packaging.
Talk about
talk about a salesman.
Yeah, I mean, this is why he gets paid the big bucks. Love and Hip
The big
Hop
bucks.
is the
What?
most influential show for consumers on the air.
Yes,
It, in my opinion, single-handedly built Fashion Nova.
and Pretty Little Thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people don't realize that.
Well, we almost had a company.
Yeah, we tried.
Mona, you owe us a phone call. No, the thing about that, you're right, is that number one in social media, most talked about show on all of television. I'm talking bigger than Dancing with the Stars, bigger than America's Got Talent, because you have a loyal, consistent fan base that consists of like 7 million people that are actually engaged in giving a fuck about these people and their lives.
Yeah.
And the one thing I would say to all of you out there is, it's a soap opera. So, there are elements of this show that are designed to keep you fascinated, that you're going to stick through all, we have, our orders are really big now. We do 22 episodes of Love and Hip Hop every season now.
That's great.
So it's a lot. And it's a big budget show. It's in $2+ million an hour to shoot. So it's a great thing. So,
And the main reason you're here, because you were my winner of the week on Friday.
Can I get one question?
Yes.
So you were there for the Death Row days, right?
Yes.
So in 2019, are people...
We worked right here. We were next door.
Yeah.
Are people still getting hung over the balcony a la Suge Knight? Or is
See,
that
okay,
over?
let's talk about that for 1 second. Like, okay, so I'm this white Jew from Beverly Hills, go to USC, went to great, went to Montclair Prep, went to private school.
Doesn't even exist anymore.
Doesn't even exist anymore, but went there. And I was like, all of this crazy shit that they talk about did not really happen in front of me. Suge was also in jail at that time, but he, it was really, it was the coolest label in the world. Like, I was there, I had the chain, I had full access. I went to USC part of the week, and then I worked at Death Row the other half of the week, hanging out with this guy and Andres. And I don't even know if you were there yet. It's before, this is when Andres used to speak English, but fucking long ass time ago. Al tuntun. Anyways, so that era was like, you remember they had the blood red writing on there. Yeah. Funny enough, it's Randall Emmett's building now.
Who's that?
He's a big movie. He produced Irishman.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a big movie
He has beef
producer.
with 50 Cent.
He's got
Kinda
beef with 50
ongoing.
Cent.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's
Kind of. He's Fofty.
Yeah.
But
Fofty.
no, that's our brother. That's our brother. Shout out Randall. But no, it was amazing, bro. I got my plaques on my walls, and like if I hadn't have done that stint there, I would know nothing about it. And now all the artists of that era all the artists that I work with, every single one of them became clients of mine now. And when there became a resurgence of needing these kind of iconic, former big stars to kind of make comebacks in television or movies, I was right there just pumping them up, getting them in the fucking door, blah, blah, blah. I mean, like Corrupt, for example, we're kind of going way back. I put him in like 14 movies, 5 TV shows. Like he worked nonstop for a period of time as a crossover artist where like you would think, okay, well, he's a rapper. How's he going to go and get all that work? But I wound up doing that. And I do that today with lots and lots of people, including, Short and G-Eazy and A$AP Rocky, A$AP Ferg, Warren G.
But are those days over? Is everything soft now?
No, everything is morphed into more because you have more outlets.
terms of
No, I'm
violence.
talking about
violence?
hanging
Yeah,
someone
yeah.
over the balcony to get someone to sign
Well,
a
not
record deal.
there, but you can't like Suge set the record apart from everyone else because that was like an era where there was no rules yet. You hadn't done that. You're not going to see like Coach K and guys like that doing that because one, that's not how they operate their business. They've learned from a more professional hierarchy. They're speaking at Harvard Business School and doing stuff. Suge invented the game of that. He was a real guy. And you guys know that, we have we're doing Suge's Life Rights. I don't know if you know that.
No, wow.
Oh yeah, so Suge gave Ray J and me, because I'm Ray's partner, we have his Life Rights. So we are doing
Who's going to play Suge?
scripted series.
Wait, when does he get out of jail?
He's gonna probably do in the upwards of 10 plus years, but he's already got credit for like time served on 3.
Okay, 7
And,
years.
He did 10 before, and he's in good shape. So we shall see. But right now we're doing a documentary. And we're doing a scripted series, so we're in development on the weekend. When we put that out, a lot of offers came to the table, and Ray J secured the Life Rights. Took him we actually signed him almost a year ago, but it only came out publicly like 3 months ago. So
Wow. Okay.
Okay, get close to the mic for this
yes,
part.
yeah.
This part's important. The winner of the week of last week was David Weintraub. Reason being, I was flipping through your Instagram, and then on page 6, you went on a tirade saying Alex Rodriguez is the biggest fraud in all of business.
Alex Rodriguez.
And let me just say,
yeah.
since then,
Yeah.
it's become a real story.
Yeah.
So now, like the story of you, I even saw just the headline before I knew you had anything to do with it. I saw like something. Agent calls Alex Rodriguez a sham and a blah blah blah.
I called him a ruthless clout chaser because I look at
Can we get
Alex.
some context?
And Alex Rodriguez in appearance in the first couple times. I shot with him 10 days. I shot a lot of days.
So this
with
is a
him.
TV
Spent
show
a
he's
lot of
cutting
time with him. Yeah. So one of my clients I represent, I have the whole cast of the show Baywatch that I represent, which was a big hit way back in the day, and all the women from Baywatch all are reality stars and stuff. So a lot of stuff comes in for them. And one of my clients who's been with us for a long time, Nicole Eggert, she got offered to be a part of a new series that was coming from CNBC, and the executive producer / creator of a show called The Prophet, which I've seen a couple times and like. I didn't really know her. She's kind of like a low-level kind of like producer chick, kind of like almost like a camera operator who became a producer somehow. So she's moving up in the world. So I didn't know what to say when the offer came in, but the offer came in. It was basically like, let's put Nicole in the show. A-Rod is kind of doing something like The Prophet, where he's going to finance and help celebrities who kind of need a resurgence back, help them develop a business, and we will help launch the business and hand the business off to you. Sounded like an interesting idea. It was like $20,000 for the episode, and it was like cool, new idea. There were some interesting people in it. She was going to be the only female. I said, so we thought about it. So it was just funny because it took so long to get the show like off the air. We did the deal, did the contract, and then it was like, well, when the fuck are we shooting? It just never happened. So like 5-6 months later go by. I'm like, the show probably got canceled, so fuck it. Then we get a call, and they're like, nope, we're greenlit. Alex is coming into town. We're ready to go. And this is about a year ago. So we go to the first day of shooting. We have a big sit down with Alex, and there's. Do you know? I'm going to describe to you. You know what the fourth wall is?
Yeah.
Okay, so the fourth wall. I don't think everybody out there knows.
explain.
The fourth wall is basically in reality television or in all production. It's like what's going on inside of here. We don't break and talk to our producers and stuff about. There's like the fictional world that exists here, and then there's a real world about production out there. So we had a long talk about what the fourth wall was going to be and really developing this business. So the premise of the show is Alex is a Fortune 500 guy. He's an investor. He's a go-getter. He's the guy who can help get you off the ground. He can put you in touch with everyone. He'll post your shit, all of which he doesn't do one fucking thing of, okay? This guy has like teams of people. I'm talking like teams and teams of people that work for him that have titles and are literally working out of their fucking cars, okay? You're not a CFO. This is a CFO. That's a CEO, okay? Somebody who like is getting your Taco Bell and bringing it to you is not your fucking chief, all right? So that's an assistant guy, all right? So the idea was Nicole pitched like 5 or 6 ideas. They all sucked. A-Rod pitched 5 or 6 ideas. They all fucking sucked. Like they're even worse than Nicole's. This guy couldn't even fucking figure out how to put on a sock. And so the network is having a hard. Now we're shooting, and I'm not even in the show yet. I'm just kind of managing the behind the scenes. And dealing with this company, Machete Productions, whatever the fuck you are, a very low-level garbage production company. Garbage production company with garbage staff.
They do the Profit.
They do the Profit.
Which
Good
Taylor
luck.
was on.
Cool. And yeah.
And
So you know, did you know Amber Mazzola? Yeah. Tragic human being. You should know your role, Amber, and stay in your fucking lane. Because your lane is fucking garbage. So they call me and they're like, listen, we really need a food episode. I'm like, she's not doing food. We've already done food businesses and they didn't work out. It's not her expertise. Yeah. She wanted to do this she had this idea for this laundromat lounge, which was really cool. It was like an automated place that you could go and like hang out and do your internet and work. And it was like a laundromat. It was a hybrid cool thing. And like they couldn't figure out how to put that one together. So that idea didn't work. Another idea didn't work. So I said, look, I'm not going to push her into doing food. She doesn't want to do it. They said, please figure it out. So I went back to the drawing board, and I have been toying with this idea that I wanted to do as a food concept. I should have called Andres. I mean, I know he's like the fucking food concept king over here. This would have been right up his alley. So I said, let me pitch you an idea that I'm toying with. Off the record, fourth wall, break it. I said, I want to do a avocado toast like truck. We're saying that's specific to avocado toast. It's like healthy, blah, blah, blah. So we go through it, talking to Amber, talking to the whole team. They're like, yes. Alex is going to love it. It's healthy. It's going to be right in his wheelhouse. We could park in front of a GNC. It was like all of this like craziness. I'm like, cool. I'm like, well, I'm not going to give you the idea. It's my idea. So I will develop it and be her 50-50 partner, and you can decide how to do it. So they're like, cool. Please come and pitch this to Alex on camera, blah, blah, blah. But I knew that Alex was already going to say yes to it because the fourth wall was broken already. So we go in and we decide that this is what we're going to execute, is this idea to do this avocado toast food truck. Gourmet, delicious, all the thing, recipes, all the thing. So we start shooting that. And I mean, like, they want a lot of shooting. This is a 1-hour episode. This is $20,000. Okay, plus the business. Like, who shoots for 12, 11, 10, 15 days on a 1-hour episode? I'm like, what are we shooting? Like, let's pick the 4 scenes and have a payoff and be on our merry way. I'm not shooting this. It turns into a full-on docusoap for a 1-hour episode. I'm talking day after day after interview, and now I'm in it. So now I make a deal with them, and the deal is twofold. You're going to pay me $5,000 to be in the show. I'm going to give you the idea. I'm going to take 50% of the business and be her partner. She'll be the face of it. And we're going to go and be in the episode and make this happen. Now, all of a sudden, it's Alex, like we're looking at avocados and we're going here. We're focus grouping. We're focus testing stuff. He's eating it.
It's avocado toast.
It's avocado toast. But here's the problem, okay? In the reality of the world, the deal was all set up behind the scenes. So you have to pick. Are you going to do a show where everything is behind the scenes, or are you going to do a show that's everything is on camera? Now, I'm in television production, and they're professionals in television production. So if we stick to one format, let's stick to it. Now, mind you, Alex Rodriguez wears an earpiece underneath his hair plugs. But no, I'm not 100% sure if he has hair plugs, but I know J-Lo knows, so just let us know. No, so he's wearing his earpiece. So he's being told what to say, what to ask, how to all of these things. So there's this fine line that we keep walking, and I just don't want to walk the line. Bottom line is, he's pretending that he's paying for this. Now, CNBC is paying for this. So when you are blatantly lying to the American public, which you are, Alex Rodriguez, you fucking liar. You are lying to the public because you're acting as if you're paying for some business, but you're not. You're sitting there with an earpiece and the producer is telling you what to say. And you're pretending to have this I just want to say it's this fraudy Fortune 500 fake look.
But that's I don't know everything details about the profit.
Yeah.
I don't know the details of everything that happens.
He's a real investor.
He
It's funny you say that. It's funny we're breaking the fourth wall here.
Yeah.
But it's funny you
There's
say that
context to the fourth wall
because
for
Amber
what
through me on a
Taylor's
call
talking
with
about.
him one time.
Who's
We
him?
were
Okay.
arguing about the show.
We're talking about Marcus Lemonis.
Yeah, and I said to Marcus because he jumped in the middle of our conversation about the show. And I'm like, bro, go stick to acting or whatever the fuck you're doing on your show. We're all in the same game. We know what's fake and what's real. And he took it really offensively, surprisingly.
So not only Taylor was on The Prophet, I know other people that have been on The Prophet.
Yeah.
They have not said nice things about their experience and how that whole thing is operating.
Machete Productions, don't follow them.
Yeah. and I think the problem is that it's interesting. Why are you going scorched earth policy? Meaning you're burning the town down. Like, it's surprising because you're pretty
I'm
private.
not burning it. I mean, I work with I have all the buyers that I'm already in business
I know, but I'm
with,
just
so I don't
curious.
who are you? You're another production company.
Yeah, I'm
You're
just curious.
another phone call that I don't need. And honestly, it takes more time for me to make a $20,000 deal than is worth the time. I don't need $2,000. Okay.
My question is why did you feel like this was so important for you to be like, I'm calling it
Yeah,
out?
like how did A-Rod?
Because
the
A-Rod
tipping
is a
point?
liar, and
But
when
you
you're
deal with liars all day.
I know, but he's got the kids, and those little kids don't need to be lied to. They don't need to lie to these kids.
I mean, all of
These kids believe in you. J-Lo believes in you. J-Lo. Jenny from the fucking block believes in you, man.
But here's the thing. But that's all these business shows. All these business shows.
There's only a handful of business shows. There's, the show that you emulate your life off of, which was, the Donald Trump show on NBC. Can't remember.
Apprentice?
The Apprentice.
No, but so like a show like
The Apprentice.
like a show like Shark Tank. I know so many companies that
Yeah.
have gone on. They've already launched, but
Yeah.
they pretend like they're launching their product for the first time just to
Yeah.
get. A Ring's a perfect example.
It does.
They were already launched before they went on Shark Tank.
Drama knows this because all exposure with a brand is potentially good exposure. I mean, you knock that motherfucker out the park.
Yeah.
You literally have done it bigger and better than anyone that's done. See it on TV, does it translate? Yeah. And with shows like that, it's automatically going to translate. It's just how big is your scale? I mean, look at Ring. Look at the guy who made the tent for the game. Like all these guys, they're making nothing products and they work, but then you might hit it out the fucking park, and then it's a game changer.
So do you think what you've said about Alex Rodriguez in the show will kill the show ultimately, or do you think the show will be successful?
The show killed itself. The show was on the cutting room floor for months, and that's why it took so long to come out. The other thing is they had to bring in Marcus into the show because he has zero credibility in this world, and all of the stuff that he was talking about in the relationships and all this stuff was all produced behind the scenes. But then when you put him in the driver's seat to do the episodes, he couldn't deliver on the content. So Marcus came into the show. If you'll notice, he's in each of the episodes except ours, where he is doing some type of
negotiating.
Yes, something he's involved in. That's because it didn't work. And when a show doesn't work, you have to take what's going on there and try to fix it. Now, the other thing too is the president of the network, which will remain unnamed, but
get on that mic,
Google
Dave.
him. He lost his job over this show.
Really?
Yeah. Because when you buy shows that don't work, you tend to lose your job. So
Did the show get cut? I'm not even up to date with the show. Did the show get
no,
cut?
the show's
airing.
Well, it's aired. All 4 episodes that they bought have now aired, but I looked through to see if it's going to air again, and I don't think it's going to air again.
Got it.
So, we sent them a couple C&Ds. They broke their contract because because we didn't wind up. Okay, so let's cut to what happened. So Alex calls us and he goes, "Come meet one of my, fakakta assistants who's got the fucking CFO title at this." I mean, literally, we went to a place that you stock Roach Coach food trucks. Okay, and he goes, "We're gonna lease you a food truck." Okay, so you could test out this idea. Now, mind you, the network and the production company said they were going to buy us a food truck to test this out. So I took them to my people that build custom food trucks. And we had a state-of-the-art truck designed. And then when they realized that it was about $50,000 over budget, I said, okay, well, we can meet somewhere in the middle and buy a used one. So what they did is they tried to basically hand us a lease for a roach coach. And I wasn't going to take my beautiful, brilliant idea for the avocado toast food truck, organic, sustainable, delicious. You'll see it in front of Barry's boot camp, right?
Yeah.
You'll be eating it. You'll be eating it with hot chicks around you. All the girls eat avocado toast, so if you eat it, you'll meet one of them.
Yeah.
It was like that whole play. But I wasn't gonna roll up in the roach coach. I don't do that shit. So if I'm gonna put my idea, my name, and all that stuff on it, it's got to be the right thing. So she comes up and she literally hands me a lease. I look at her and I'm like, look, Velma or whatever her fucking name was. She's in the show. She's fucking retard. She goes, yeah, here's the lease. Alex is gonna set this up for you. I go, honey, do you think I just sign shit that people hand me? Do you think Nicole is that low level that she signs a piece of paper that you, who I've never met, on Alex Rodriguez's behalf, just sign paperwork? I don't think so. So we basically just kind of washed our hands of it. Now, what then happened was they kind of like thought that we were difficult talent, which we're always difficult talent, but fuck you, you should know that. And being difficult talent, you want to get it right and make sure that it's like everything is done properly. So they did some illegal taping of us where they recorded conversations where I did not consent to it, which is illegal in California and illegal in New York, the two places that this stuff was taking place. So they've committed a felony there by doing that because that's truly illegal, and that's why the lawyers are now involved. And then they basically tried to twist the story as if we were just too difficult to like make it work with. But really what it was is everything that they handed was not up to what we agreed upon in the fourth wall producing world that then bled into it. Now, Alex, this is the most important thing. Nicole has been with me for a lot of years. I made her a lot of money over the years. She's one of these people that like every couple of years she'll make like $500,000-$600,000. So she's a good client. Doesn't work every year, but every few years we hit some good stuff out of the park. We had an agreement to have a 50-50 partnership. Now this is not me going like being like, okay, I got you a show. Give me my 20%. This is me going, here's my idea. We're gonna run a business together, and we have to have a fair split. He didn't like that I was going to take 50% of the idea. I'm like, well, listen, baseball face, if you fucking came up with the idea for the project and you had the creative down, which your Fortune 500 brain says you can do, then you would have had it. But I came in with the idea to save your fucking show.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to take 10% or 15%. It's a 50-50 split. So he said to me, and they, of course, they didn't use this line because I pushed him to the wall. I looked at him in this meeting when he was bitching about this. I said, stop bitching about the percentage. You're bitching about something that has nothing to do with this. We're already past it. It's the agreement. If you don't like it, you don't like it. I go, do you want me to reduce my fee? And he said, maybe. I said, okay. I said, Alex, how many followers do you have? Look him dead on his own fucking show. How many followers do you have? He goes, I have 2.15 million followers. I'm like, okay, well, my aggregate of my clients and my friends were over 70 million followers. And all of them are going to post for me for free and do it for free because I always have their back and they have my back, and that's what we're going to do. So I don't need your 2.1 million followers on your cable TV show, any of that shit. Finance this thing if you're saying you're doing it, and let's move on. Of course, they never use any of that because they have to make him look like he's like the man. But his look of being the man is about the same as his look of if you guys saw him, taking a shit in his building. No. You saw that, no? No. There's a very famous photo. He sued everybody because he was photographed in his bathroom sitting on the toilet. You should bring up that photo, someone. Guys, you don't know about this. Because that's the level that he really is. So.
Okay. Well, it's great. I mean, I'm glad you called it out, and I'm glad we can have you here to
tell your side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
meaty.
Yeah, it's meaty.
He's no Rob Dyrdek. You know what I mean?
No.
He's no drama. No. He's no Ray J.
Yeah.
He's not even Scott Disick. Like, goddamn. Scott Disick used to live on my couch.
And what has been have you gotten any feedback? Has anyone called you and said, hey, Dave, can you please just maybe...
They did, and I just said, happy Thanksgiving, but I'm off, I'm off doing something. I don't really care. I was in the middle. It's funny because the same time that I'm doing a dating show with Drake's dad. And
Wow.
it all kind of happened at the same time. So like that was going down, then all the good press about the Drake's dad show was happening. So it's kind of like, it's weird. But like, you got to pick your levels, man.
Yeah.
You got to pick them.
Okay. So where do you go from here? Is this it?
We got a new show we got Love and Hip Hop.
But I mean,
7.
I know this isn't
with
it
him
for business. I mean, on the A-Rod stuff.
Oh, A-Rod. I mean,
Sounds like
with
there's lawyers
Yeah, the
involved.
lawyers are involved. Like they'll figure it out. Like you can't do illegal wiretapping and wiretaping and filming people. That's illegal. We don't do that. I don't do that on any of my shows. But I guess I have a better tier of personalities in my shows, even though
Higher standards.
But I don't know. We'll see what happens. But either way, it doesn't matter what happens. What matters is that people know that this guy is kind of full of shit, and he's got this very fake, phony look. And it's okay. Do your thing. You cheat on J-Lo, like I mean, people were reaching out. They're like, oh, we have all these DMs of him hitting on these chicks and all this stuff. Like, it's no news of what he is. People know who he is, and that's why the show's a failure.
Wow. Great way to end the
And you owe me a fucking check.
He's got a lot of money, so you should be able to go.
Gotta buy some shit.
Okay. And there it is. Thank you, man.
Yeah,
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks for the exclusive take.
Exclusive hot take.
Group chat.
Now we're gonna get into some news.
Okay, now we ready for news? We going straight into news?
Yeah.
Dave, you staying for news? or what are we doing?
Let's say I'm feeling the vibe. Okay. I'll tone it down. I'll hang back a little.
Okay, first story that we need to talk about. Spotify, once again, I say this every time, I'm sorry for being repetitive. We love a good list.
Yes.
Spotify has released theirs of the most streamed artists of 2019. Who do we got?
Post Malone.
That's nuts.
Then Billie Eilish, then Ariana Grande, then Ed Sheeran, and then Bad Bunny.
Did you guys go to Post Malone any of his shows?
No, I didn't go.
No,
I went
I
to the
really
forum.
wanted
Can I say something about that? Because I went to go see Post, and
I saw you post a
I
lot.
I saw Andres there.
Yeah.
Big star in
Yeah.
the building. I went to it, and I was expecting it to be some insane show because I'm a big fan of his.
Yeah.
Love his music. But the show was like, dude, they took people for their money.
But everyone loved it. Everyone said they loved it because the songs are just too big.
I don't know. I mean, I don't think everyone loved it. People didn't seem that into it. It was a very calm show. They didn't put any money into that production.
Where'd you go for them?
I went to the Forum.
So they made a lot of money.
They made a lot of money, and if you're gonna do a show, especially that level in LA, it's got to be a real show, not just it felt like a Whiskey a Go-Go show, but at the Forum.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, listen, I think the thing about him is his fans love the cigarette smoking,
The
beer
rawness.
drinking. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would say the Coachella set we saw.
Yeah.
He didn't put much energy.
There was a
into
part
it.
where he sat on a stool and smoked a cigarette.
And he was tired.
Yeah,
And his
people loved
voice
it.
was raspy.
Yeah.
He couldn't even sing the song.
But they loved it. So either way, there's something magical about him. I just think because we had such a close relationship to him coming up, to see him be literally,
biggest.
by this metric, the biggest artist in the world is insane. There's just something magical about his
But do you think
thing.
he's the biggest artist in the world, even though he has these numbers? I mean, that doesn't mean
I think
that
he's the biggest musician of the moment.
Then you've completely read that list wrong.
I mean, why?
Well, streaming wise,
No, but I think he's a popular culture force for young people.
But Drake and Ariana Grande shitted on
But
him.
I think what's fascinating
he's
is that
just starting the touring process of has he done a global tour yet?
What does that say about his management?
Maybe you should offer to take it over.
Yeah.
No
I'm just saying, there's no one. To me, he purely based the fact that he's white makes him a bigger star.
Yeah, you're right.
Absolutely.
You're right.
He will resonate with more people across the world than a black star does. It just, unfortunately, how the world works.
I think the most striking thing is the absence of any rap in 2019 in top 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is true.
I mean, even the most streamed albums are Billie Eilish was one, then Post, then Ariana Grande, then Ed Sheeran, then Shawn Mendes. The most streamed tracks, number 1 is Senorita with Camila Cabello and Shawn Mendes.
That's crazy.
Then Bad Guy,
Yeah.
Billie Eilish. Then Sunflower, Post Malone, Sway Lee. Then Ariana Grande. And number 5 was Old Town Road, which I thought was the biggest song of the
Yeah.
year, and it's not even anywhere near.
Number 1 song was what?
Senorita.
Senorita. Number 2 was Ariana
Bad
Grande?
Guy.
Bad Guy.
Bad Guy.
Billie
Number
Eilish.
3 was
Sunflower, Seven Rings.
Seven Ring. Okay, yeah.
And then here, I think, is the most interesting. They shared an interesting tidbit, which I think David can attest to probably why this is the case. Number 1 podcast streamed on Spotify.
A former Love and Hip Hop star,
Joe Budden.
Joe Budden.
It was
Big.
Joe Budden's the number 1 podcast. Number 2 is my favorite, Murder, with Karen Gilgraff and Georgia Hartstock. I don't even know what that is. Gemisch Hack, must be German. Fest and
You guys should
Plastic.
be listening to all these podcasts, though.
Number 5, the Misfits podcast. I've never heard of that. But number 1 on Spotify is
It's
Joe,
Joe
Budden.
Budden. That's
I will say
huge.
Joe Budden has a Spotify deal.
Yeah. So they might be featuring him more.
So they definitely, but it also would show the machine of Spotify.
But you see, the thing about him is he is an extremely opinionated.
He's great
No
on his
holds
podcast.
bar. He doesn't give a fuck.
He loves it.
Yeah,
I don't listen to it.
That's the only podcast I listen to. is
really.
Joe Budden.
Yeah, and I mean, but that just says how commercial and how mainstream it is. That
Yeah, he's
even
selling
you-
out theaters.
I also think it's
for his-
fascinating how if you look at those Spotify podcasts, those would not show up in the Apple lists.
It's a
No.
different
It's a
So
demographic.
is it because they have deals and they are featured, so therefore they have more streams, or are they actually
Yeah.
compared to the top Apple ones, which are purely just listens?
Yeah. I don't know. That could
How
be
to,
a
like,
huge-
reconcile
No,
those two.
but it's also discovery. If you look at Spotify's already doing a better job on podcasts. They've already done, like I was looking through it the other day. They have Laugh Out Loud, so all the funny podcasts.
Yeah.
Podcasts that make you smarter. 20 podcasts under 20 minutes.
Yeah.
They're making discovering podcasts easier.
Easier, yeah.
Apple is like, if you were big before, you'll stay big, and unless you have this huge following that you could drive
Yeah,
people
you have to bring your own following with
Yeah.
Apple,
And
but
I-
Apple's still 80% of the downloads.
Yeah, that's what's wild.
And
They
so,
still
but-
dominate.
But here's the thing: is there's still a majority of Americans aren't listening to podcasts yet, so there's this massive opportunity, and Spotify could be the people that bring you on.
Yeah, they'll probably have good growth, but it's just fascinating that it's just not even close to what you see on the Apple.
Well, Joe
list.
Budden's is still probably top 10 on Apple.
Yeah.
Definitely top 10.
He's got good guests too.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he's
He's great.
I think you just have to be extremely outspoken. You know, you have to like.
Yeah, you
What I
have to-
think- like
what
it
I-
is.
What I think is amazing is Joe Budden, like, I
Did
don't
you
know.
listen to his rap like when he was first came out? Like I never listened to Joe, but I wouldn't
No.
know
No.
not one of his songs.
But that was my point. Is like,
But
I
when he
think-
became a TV star, like, I was like, oh shit, this guy's interesting.
Yeah.
you know,
I think a lot of people respect him like lyrically. I never really listened to it, but I think what's so sick is that there's these new platforms for people. He's making more money podcasting than he ever did rapping.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
How much money do you think that is
millions of dollars.
Yes.
per episode?
Like, I
No,
wonder what
no,
his
yeah, in
Spotify
aggregate.
deal was.
No, I don't know.
I don't know. I wonder.
But I'm sure.
5 million for the year,
I mean, if you have a top 10 podcast, you make a lot of money.
right? Who's 10?
I mean, you could argue Joe Rogan's probably number 1,
Yeah,
and he probably makes $50 million.
but Budden beat him.
No, but
no.
in Spotify.
Oh, in
No, no.
Spotify.
So the majority
Okay.
of listeners are still
Yeah.
coming from Apple.
Got it.
Yeah, yeah.
So Spotify is a growing platform for podcasts, but
Yeah.
most people are still listening on Apple. So
Yeah.
Apple's a better indicator of who are the
Yeah.
guys really making money.
Got it.
Okay. How about this fact? We talked the other day about how Spotify is doing an awards show based on data. It looks like now Apple is also doing an award show. They posted their nice, sleek little award. They posted some of the people that won. Lil Nas X won, Billie Eilish. I mean, I think in the matter of a year, these award shows are going to make things like the Grammys irrelevant.
Yeah,
I think it's going to happen so quickly.
So Apple gave Artists of the Year. I think they've already kind of given out the awards,
Yep.
but they gave Artists of the Year to Billie Eilish. And the only thing I don't like about the way Apple did it, you're the second most valuable company on earth. If you do an award show, you might as well just put on the Grammys.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know why they didn't do that.
What does it cost to put on the Grammys? David, how much does it cost to put on the Grammys?
Millions.
Okay,
It's nothing.
Nothing for Apple.
Yeah.
Like pocket change.
Yeah.
Put on the most insane that's available only on your Apple
It'd be
subscription.
huge. It'd
But
be
is
huge.
there any editorial component, or is this purely data? The way
Apple
Apple
looks
works?
like it might have editorial.
It seems like a
Like it doesn't. It was like the biggest breakout star of the year. Like it looks kind of big. Where Spotify said that theirs was all data driven.
Yeah.
I'm sure data goes into it, But I would love to see an award
But that's like the
show.
Billboard. That's like the Billboard Music Awards because Billboard is based on actual charting numbers, and that's why it would. So, remember the year that Drake won like 15?
Yeah.
Yeah.
because he had every one of those. So it's like you can't deny it.
But how sick would it be to be able to see like
there you
the
go.
biggest week increase of the year was by blah 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 because
Comeback
from blah
artist
blah
of
blah.
the year.
Yeah,
So Apple says it's a combination of Apple Music editors plus user stream data. Spotify's purely data. Their first award ceremonies in Mexico City in March.
who's
Spotify.
Will Andres be doing it? After
party? Yeah.
Well, I think they're clearly they have a lot of streams in Spanish.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
are driving
They're
them
catering
to
to
it.
their audience.
But I think the fact that Apple didn't do an awards, I mean, they spend probably $50 million on a release of a phone.
Yep.
Spend $10 million, do an award show.
Nothing.
I agree. I think eventually they will.
I mean, how much
Yeah.
do they spend on each launch event when they have
That's what
all
I'm
these
saying.
A-list stars
Yeah.
flying private?
yeah, Paul
50
Ripke got
Yeah.
had a $20,000 budget.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think it'll get to that point. I think this is probably just them testing the water. They shouldn't have done it so mildly.
Yeah.
But I just love the idea of these award shows that are driven by actual information from the platforms where everyone's listening to the music.
Yeah. It just definitely, if I were the Grammys or the Oscars, I would just go to Apple, Spotify, Netflix, and just beg them to take them on and say, we will call this the Netflix instead of the Oscars. And
They
let's
would
just
never
partner to
You know, they're going to ride it into the ground.
They're
'Cause
gonna
they
ride it
think
into the
that They're
ground.
like these prestigious.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And no one's going to care.
Well, everybody
Oscar the
has their
Gra-
own brand, so they're not gonna.
I
you
know, but it's a dying brand. Do you want to be Eastman Kodak or you want to be
I still think
Instagram?
there's the prestige of an Oscar versus like the prestige of a BAFTA. You know what I mean? Like there's a different level at which you get. This is going to have its own thing because people are going to actually point to these numbers and be like, my numbers don't lie.
Yeah.
Different than like a board of people making a decision.
Yeah, but a
It's two different
12-year-old
things.
studying acting today at goes to school for acting. I don't know if an Oscar is going to mean the same because we aren't paying as much attention to it as a society
Yeah.
as when we were growing up. The Oscars was like, it was the biggest thing in the world. No one
Right.
gives a shit now.
Yeah, I don't think people care.
You don't think at all?
Everyone in entertainment tells me they care about the Oscars.
Yeah, I don't think
and
the
cares about
watch-
Grammy. Nobody else cares.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I think it's shocking how quickly
people-
people
I-
stop giving a shit.
The people we know in music closely, they get very sensitive about around
Grammys.
Grammy time. I'm like, why do you care?
Yeah.
Your artist is making X, you're making Y, and
Because they still want to have the trophy. I mean, it's still a trophy-based business. They still want to.
I think the trophy is you walk into an arena and
If you
150,000
get-
people are screaming your name.
True, but at that level, you're getting that no matter what. So you
Sure.
still want to have that to like back it up. Being nominated is great because you're still going to get the same amount of press.
Yeah.
I mean, winning is obviously going to open more of the doors, but for us as like managers and producers, we can push that. Well, they were nominated, so they're worth X, Y, and Z. And I think that resonates with buyers in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see.
Okay. All right, well, let's move on. First things first, if we got any ads, let's run them here. Dave, I don't know if you got any good connections. Maybe you want to sell some ad spots. Maybe you know some people that
Love and
are-
hip hop ads.
Yeah.
Love and
Yeah,
hip hop
give
ads?
us Love and Hip Hop ads.
Hey. How much are they?
Let's talk
We'll give you a
offline.
discount. We'll give you that
$20
We'll give you a $20 bundle.
Yeah.
Okay, let's run the ads here. Okay, let's talk about some world news. It looks like in the ongoing trade war mess, now France is promising retaliation after our threats. Everyone's threatening everyone. Now France is involved. They're threatening. What's
Yeah.
going on? Is this a big deal?
It is kind of a big deal. So France wanted to levy a digital tax, which will tax people like Google, Facebook, Amazon, people that I think France feels need to pay their fair share of taxes in their country. So Donald Trump hit him back and said, I'm going to have a tariff on French goods coming into America. So apparently there's about $2.5 billion of imports that come from France every year. And some of the items would be taxed 100%. So like champagne obviously only comes from France.
Cheese, wine.
Cheese, wine,
Louis Vuitton.
yeah, like Chanel, a lot of these goods are still made in France.
Yeah.
So it's kind of scary if it actually does go through because it will have an impact. I mean, if a Chanel bag goes from like 4,500 to 9,000, it's going to have an impact.
Yeah.
So the digital tax France wanted to charge was 3% on revenue made in France from Google, Facebook, Apple. So that was what they want to do. And then Trump responds to this. But in the grand scheme of things, $2.4 billion in trade is literally nothing.
Yeah.
If you think
But
about
it will affect French companies that make that product.
It'll affect French companies, but I mean, how much revenue does LVMH do? It's not being made in France.
Well, not everything, but there are certain things that are made in France.
I don't think a lot. 2.4 billion is nothing.
Well, but they sell wine.
Sure.
So champagne's
But
getting screwed.
Champagne's definitely getting
if you're a
screwed.
niche French producer, yeah, you're screwed.
Yeah, I'm not. I never mentioned LVMH. I just said
30 seconds ago.
No, he said Louis Vuitton. I said Chanel. So I didn't mention it.
You did. You said LVMH.
What's going to
Rewind the
happen with
tapes.
Dom P?
Dom
So-
P's out.
All
Can I just make one recommendation?
Yeah.
Stick to fries. French fries.
French fries.
That's it. Stick to what you're good at.
French fries will not be taxed.
Stick to what you're good at.
Yeah, Dom P's
Freedom
screwed.
fries.
By the way, for those that don't know, because of the weather in the Midwest and the northern part of the country, there is a severe damage of potato crop that will affect French fries.
I heard about that.
There will
man.
be a French fry shortage in the coming months.
That's wild.
That's
Rough times here.
Alternative-
yeah, I mean, so champagne and French fries. Are,
alternative fries.
Yeah.
That's going to be the future.
yeah, why don't we get some Impossible Fry?
Yeah.
Some weird,
Cauliflower fries.
Yeah. Okay.
Get A-Rod in on that.
Hey, Rod, don't take that idea.
Potato fries.
Okay, next up. Larry Page has stepped down as the CEO of Alphabet. Seems like a pretty massive move. Is there a reason why? What do we got?
I mean, this is obviously they've been grooming Sundar, who's the Google CEO, for a while. He's been great. The company's grown tremendously. Larry and Sergey had a questionable issue with an employee of theirs who had an affair with one of their staff members, and they quietly paid him off, and that raised a lot of eyebrows. And I think there's probably a lot of skeletons in that closet of things they may have done.
Yeah.
And they're worth 125 billion, the two of them. Just move on.
Yeah.
It's so
Yeah, I
they
actually
should have
don't
done
e-
it years ago.
I actually don't even think it's that. I'm sure there's plenty of skeletons, but I don't think that's why they're leaving. So they control all the voting rights and still own their shares and are not relinquishing any of it while stepping down.
When you say they're both stepping?
They're both founders and
Yeah.
they're both, one's chairman, one's CEO of Alphabet.
They're both
which-
leaving.
Yeah, they're both stepping down from day-to-day roles.
yeah.
And Larry Page was the CEO
Yep.
of Alphabet, which is the parent. I think what's really happening is they are just going to be the power brokers at Google, just now actually silently.
Yeah.
Whereas before they split off Alphabet and Google and made Sundar the face of Google, and that was where the profit center is. Alphabet was where they were trying all these different things, and they were still the parent, still calling the shots. And there were some reporters calling how Google has been able to refrain from being properly investigated by Congress. It's because no one ties the way Facebook
Yeah.
ties Zuck to
Yep.
Facebook,
Yep.
Larry and Sergey to Google, and you can argue Google has equally as amount of data that Facebook has.
Yeah.
They have all our pictures. They have all our YouTube search histories. They have all our Google search histories. They know They know as much about us
Yeah.
as Facebook does, but they don't get caught in this public debate.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
kind
I
of
think
avoid it.
yeah, and
I agree.
I think it's not just the power issue, is they know all these CEOs that rose to power in the last 15, 20 years, you don't get this powerful without unfortunately breaking a few rules. And now that this Congress is being so aggressive, dude, just cut ties with it publicly and you're good.
Yeah, they
it's the
kn-
same thing. Mark Parker from Nike, he was doping athletes. They were like, get the fuck out of here. It's done. Don't bring down the house.
Yeah.
We'll pay you a lot of money. Just leave.
Yeah,
and I think
they're still young dudes. They're in their 40s.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And they're probably why would I want to be sitting in front of Congress? Let Sundar do it.
yeah.
yeah, and why let anything that they may have done in the past affect their enormous wealth they've created?
Yeah.
It's a great move. I think everyone who was from that era should step down and quietly go away and be richer than you ever
And
could
that's
imagine.
why, you can argue whether Zuckerberg's an evil person or a good person or a great entrepreneur, whatever you think, he believes what he's doing.
Yeah.
Like, he's staying consistent with his message. I'm not taking down. I'm not going to be the arbiter of truth. That's not my job. I'm a platform.
Yeah.
Let the users decide.
Yeah.
And he's doing interviews about it. He testified in Congress. He did something, I think, with Gayle King on CBS this
Yeah.
week, and everyone started yelling and screaming again. At least we know he believes what.
I think
we
he
know
might
his
mess up.
ego is so big.
I think his ego might screw him.
Yeah.
'Cause I think while these other guys are stepping away and being a little bit, he's so like, I want to be the guy,
yeah.
that it might screw him.
And how? What would that be to screw him?
Because
What would
I think
happen?
that like the idea of Facebook, like Facebook is looked at now as super untrustworthy, corrupt, all this stuff. That's how I think a lot of your average people look at it.
Yeah.
When you can tie it to, oh, there's a person that's pulling the strings, that's the evil leader, it becomes way more personal and you can take it all out on that one person. And that's what we were saying about Google is people don't really tie a person to Google, even though they're doing all the same things that Facebook is, right?
Yeah.
So everyone says Mark Zuckerberg is evil now. While these guys are kind of quietly doing the Homer Simpson back into the bushes thing, Zuckerberg is like, no, I'm taking this all the way home. And I think that could screw him in the sense that no one's going to talk about Google. No one's going to talk about everyone else. Facebook is going to be the one with the target.
Like, sometimes you have to shut up and dribble.
No, but if you think of it this way, at least with Facebook, for now, Zuck's the leader, and he's not going to let the government interfere with the way he runs his company, unless someone just kind of unilaterally says so. Google's just kind of like quietly, these guys step away. You got to think longer term. The government's going to have more power over Google than they will over Facebook because there isn't this defiant leader, which is actually kind of scarier because they have the same data on all of us.
I agree, but like, what if something, I don't know, could this happen where Elizabeth Warren starts to narrow her platform to let's take down Facebook because it's more relatable and everyone votes her in because of that, and the target is on Facebook's back more so than the others, and they get a disproportionate, they get broken up and the others don't.
So I guess the point I'm trying to make is that the future of having bad actors in government isn't as far-fetched as everyone thinks. Because this is what's going on in countries around the world where the government uses these platforms, controls the data, controls their population. Everyone here in the US, we think that's so beyond ever happening. It might not. I mean, no one thought we were going to have a leader that lies to the public every single day.
Yeah. But think about this. We have a president that got voted in saying he was going to build a wall. He's still trying everything he knows to build a damn wall that no one even gives a shit about anymore. If you run on the platform of take down Facebook and Zuckerberg because that becomes the thing, you could put a disproportionate target on just your back.
Yeah, for no reason.
And I think that's potentially, because I wouldn't underestimate what can get you elected and what people are going to demand of you. Something like building a wall along the whole southern border, which is just insane, worked. And now he's actually trying to deliver on it. It hasn't been able to. Same thing. That's what I would worry about. I would worry that an easy target is let's take down Mark Zuckerberg and this Facebook thing, because if you try to say let's take down Google and Larry and Sergey, nobody even knows what you're talking about. And so now your voters, Elizabeth Warren, are demanding take down Facebook. They take them down. Everyone's happy. Yay.
Yeah.
All the others got. They
Yeah.
just quietly
Everyone else who quietly went away.
And they're just going to be complying with the government more. That's my point.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. Okay, man, this is a good one. I'm really excited about this one. Let's talk about Peloton.
Yeah.
So Dee's favorite company, Peloton. We've had a long history on this podcast about Peloton. Anand and I are former fans, I would say.
Yeah.
We really fought hard for it until
we rode it every day at 6 a.m.
Yeah, you wrote it to the ground.
Yeah, we rode it right into the ground. We were big on it until
You
this
guys each have
IPO.
one?
No, nobody has one.
We just fought for it. Anand and I thought it was a cool company. We fought for it. Dee said it was trash.
Did you invest in it?
No, I just thought it was. I like the idea of it.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be a $10 billion company, was my point.
Right.
So when it became a $10 billion company, they IPO'd, then it became
This guy back on Nordic track.
real
Life
quick,
and fitness.
back in the streets. So anyway, they put
Woodway.
out this viral ad campaign that we were going to talk about, but now has become like viral. I mean,
Yeah.
now is literally everyone's talking about it, not for the right reason.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell us about it?
They did an ad campaign with attractive young woman, fit, young, attractive woman getting a gift from her husband of a Peloton bike. And, if you're jumping into the Peloton sphere, you would assume you're a little overweight. You're not perfectly there yet.
Yeah.
And this woman gets the bike and she's like, I'm so nervous. I'm getting on my bike. I don't know. It's a stationary bike. You don't go anywhere. Yeah. Like what it was, the video is horrendous. It ends with her like riding the bike and she's so happy and like, I can't believe blah,
and
blah,
it
blah.
appears her husband got her the bike,
And
even
the
though it's not like explicit. That's what they like kind of intimate.
Fast forward. The joke just goes nuts. It's like, Peloton is targeting the 116-pound woman that's trying to become a 112-pound woman. Attractive,
Talk
rich
about
woman.
bubble.
Yeah.
That's in the bubble. That
That is
exists.
super bubble.
So then it becomes, there's this amazing video we posted on our Instagram of like a woman mocking it, which started off with like, why the fuck are you getting me a stationary bike to, you know what you made me realize? Here are the divorce papers. So they're handing them the divorce papers. So it's gotten so out of control that people have like bashed this company in even more than I've ever could dream of.
Yep.
Here's my honest opinion. I think it's the exact ad for who they target. The only people buying it are probably wealthy, fit people.
It's definitely wealthy.
It's only
Yeah.
wealthy people
How
that
much
look
are
like
they?
that.
Like 2,400.
But don't you think?
Plus 40 a month.
But what
Plus
about
40
this?
a month, and you have unlimited access to training.
Yes.
What do you think about this though? Don't you think the early adopters are that?
Yeah.
But the market is getting your average person
Yeah.
to break the bank.
Yeah.
To think they can lose 40 pounds on their Peloton.
Yeah.
So that's why I think it's so like deaf, is because the 116-pound woman that's just dying to get to 112 is going to buy it anyway.
Yeah.
And they're already having that
Her
moment at
sugar
Christmas.
daddy's gonna buy it.
Sugar daddy's buying it. They're in their condo. They're, whatever.
Yeah.
getting ready
This is kind of like people that like. I remember when Pilates first came out.
Yeah.
Only the super mega wealthy people had a Pilates machine in their house.
Yeah.
And that was like $3,000
But
for it.
Pilates reformers at home is not a big business.
Not now.
Yeah.
But at first, so
Yeah.
this is kind of like the beginning
But that's
stages.
what I'm saying. That's why their
are
ads,
those people.
their ads should be, a unhealthy looking person.
Yeah.
To say like, hey, this is your average everyday person that doesn't have time for the gym, doesn't want to go ride around their neighborhood, and
Yeah.
look at what she became.
Yeah.
Right. Don't target the rich,
but
delusional
if you
people.
look at it's from the history of time of advertising for fitness machines, it's always people with bodies that just aren't attainable.
But if you look at the history of fitness forever, there's the classic before and after.
Yeah.
Even if it's
Yeah,
fake,
that's true.
right?
That's
It's
true.
always been those are probably fake photos, but you've always done the before and after.
Yeah.
They've showed people in action that look great. But if you're going to do a before and after type feel,
Yeah.
Right.
you blew it.
Yeah.
You blew it so big.
I think I'm curious to see, like, obviously people love to make fun of Peloton. So when does that?
People.
Yeah.
You too.
I know, but like if you look, the amount of, if you go on Twitter and search this, you're talking hundreds of thousands of
Yeah.
people.
Your wildest dream came true.
Yes, and I sat for an hour reading every single one of these.
This
things.
opened up a big door for you.
Yes.
Let me tell you why.
Why? Tell me.
Because you could do your own kind of workout regimen
Yeah.
with your run club
Yeah.
in this vein.
Inclusiveness.
No, because
It's like none of us will ever have a six-pack.
Hasn't anyone that's joined the club lost a lot of weight?
Yeah, right there, Taylor.
Okay,
he lost
so
a lot of weight.
that's what I'm saying. So you could potentially, this is a gateway into segueing.
Give me a
into
show on VH1.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not a VH1 show.
What channel?
Love
is
and fitness.
Love and Fitness.
With Deeper.
And I'm the host, and I'm curating a group
His
of
wife's
people.
doing yoga. He's
Yeah.
running through West Hollywood. A little bit of drama.
Just don't be the next Bikram.
Well,
Did you watch the? Did you watch
no,
it?
no, no.
You should
That's-
watch
I
it.
didn't watch
I
it,
did.
but I've heard
Two young
I've heard some
Indian Americans not watching Bikram. Are you kidding?
I didn't watch. It's a documentary, right?
It's insane.
I've heard many unsavory things about him. Do they just highlight
it's
him?
Oh, you
horrendous.
need to see this documentary.
Okay, we'll check it out.
You
Yeah.
should. It's
at
really
the
good.
top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a Netflix.
He's incredible what he did,
Yeah.
but he's also it's crazy.
That
what
could
he
be
did.
D. D has a little bit of that like Trumpy personality.
Yeah.
He could be a viral
Yeah.
cult leader.
But I think there was like
running,
sexual,
you know, because
there
like
was sexual stuff.
Yeah, yeah. He was.
No,
He got a little.
Yeah, I
out
don't
of
do
hand.
that stuff. Get out of here.
no, but it's a unique rise and fall of a guy who
Did he lose his money, or is he still
he's
rich
still
as
rich
hell?
as fuck. Yeah, he's rich as fuck. He was charging people like crazy.
Yeah, you got to invent a workout.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, but you could like because that's the game is that it's kind of like it's franchising.
Yeah.
Franchise the run club. Give me $100,000. You can.
No,
you guys can line up in the middle of the street.
It's all
in your neighborhood.
It's teaching how to do the program, and then the program is what works.
You
It's
just need something a little unique. Even Bikram, I don't think was actually his. He just made it.
Yeah. You have to create your own
he
method.
created the method of the hot
I
yoga.
don't know that he did though. I looked into that a little bit.
Yeah.
I think that it sort of existed. He just
Well,
made
he
made it
capitalized
mainstream.
it,
He
yeah.
made it mainstream.
Yeah.
Right? So just find some weird running thing people are doing somewhere in the world.
Running in tequila.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Running to the bar.
Running to happy hour.
How many people are in the group now?
I mean, there's hundreds that they don't all show up every week, but there's.
I see, I'm surprised you're not monetizing this. Like,
Yeah. You should be
This,
charging.
this is my good for community.
it's all good for community, you know. until-
Well, I don't have a Jewish agent like you
All right,
pushing
no,
me.
we need to, let's talk about this off camera.
The fourth wall.
I know this.
Alex
I know
Rodriguez.
this former baseball player that might be able to help you. You know,
baseball face. The
A-Rod
fact that you
run
call
clubs.
You called him
A-Rod.
baseball face. Okay. Last story. Dolls Kill.
Mm-hmm.
Incredible brand. They do a great job. Big fan. They have a store on Fairfax that. You and I had similar stories, so I'll just tell it. Like, I didn't really know what it was. You didn't either. We drove by it. It looked insane. They have like disco lights going on.
At a
There's
line down the street.
Lines down the street. Very unique look. And they've been crushing it. They just raised $40 million. Who, from Sequoia, you said?
Yeah.
So what's going on? I mean, do you think they're killing it and need to just scale, or like what's the story?
I'm
here?
surprised they raised money because I would assume that the business should be healthy if they're growing. But for those that don't know, Dolls Kill is essentially a trendier, cooler, higher end version of Hot Topic.
Yeah.
They did an incredible job of targeting like that rock and roll goth chick
Yeah.
on social media. It's same way like, in my opinion, Fashion Nova focused on a forgotten audience on the internet, which was Black and Mexican and Latin, like that whole community.
Curvier.
And like all these different type of women that like a lot of other businesses weren't paying attention to. Fashion Nova came in and became the kind of the go-to place for those women.
Yep.
Dolls Kill, there's this huge group of girls that identify with that look and that culture.
Yep.
And Hot Topic was so big growing up. And it just didn't evolve in the digital world, right? It's kind of became this weird niche gift shoppy type of place. And then those women didn't have a place to shop. Dolls Kill comes around, kills it with the social media influencer marketing, built this crazy cult following. I think it's an amazing business. I don't know how big it is. Like, it's not going to be as big as Fashion Nova in my opinion. But I think that what they are doing is super interesting. I don't know why they're raising all this money though, because they did raise $15 million.
20
already. 20
before this.
I'll tell you, Rich at Fashion Nova hasn't raised a dime and built $1 billion business.
Yeah.
So kudos for them that they've built an interesting business, but I'm curious why you need all this money.
So Sequoia is known as one of the best investment firms of all time. Super prestigious. They've done incredible deals. The partner at Sequoia that is running this deal is a guy named Alfred Lin, who was the COO, CFO, and chairman of Zappos until 2010. So he obviously has a commerce/retail background. Sequoia took the whole round, 40 million, and apparently none of the existing investors they even gave space to, because Sequoia said we want the whole thing. And it is fascinating. Obviously, we don't know the numbers. They said they think the valuation's around 400 million. That's like what people are guessing. No one knows for sure. I'm curious, what do you think they do in revenue?
30 million.
Probably,
20 million.
right?
Really?
Yeah.
What do you think they do?
What? Tell me the number again. Sorry.
40. People are guessing the valuation was 400 million. So a growing business that gets a VC type multiple is probably 30 million.
Yeah.
30 to 40 million.
Yeah, I don't even want to guess.
So
'cause
that
I
means,
would have guessed.
what would you have to invest in Fashion Nova? $1 trillion.
Yeah, that's wild. I would have guessed literally like 80.
What this smells like to me is they weren't.
They're not profitable.
No, forget that. They weren't raising a round. I think Sequoia found them, and I think I read this, just found them and says, we want to put in, probably name your price.
Yeah.
Here's how much money. Like, I think it was just kind of like, we want in, we'll pay whatever, and here's your cash.
Huh.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see if they're doing, I'd be shocked if they're doing $80 million.
Yeah, I mean,
owns
I
it?
don't. You guys would know better than I would, but that's just what
I
would.
believe it's
It's a
couple.
couple, yeah.
In San Francisco.
Yeah.
Are they San Francisco based? Wow. Okay. Well, good for them.
I'd love if anyone works there and wants to give their financials. Please feel free to share.
We won't disclose where it came from.
Or a delivery.
We deliver
Send over a delivery. Okay, we have a new segment,
Yes.
and this is for real. We're working on some new segments that will be reoccurring every week. Our winners losers content has been a huge success. We have a new one for Wednesdays called Seen on Social. Real simple, lighthearted, or it could be serious. We're just all going to mention one thing that we saw on social media over the week that we thought was interesting and worth sharing.
Yep.
So, Dee, why don't you tell us what you saw on social this week?
I saw Twitter going all up in arms when Jimmy Kimmel asked if Billie Eilish name one member of Van Halen, and she goes, "Who?" And they were like, "I cannot believe you don't know who Van Halen is or any member." Van Halen group responded and said, "You should check out her music to their fans. She's a great artist." Like, they played it cool.
Yeah.
But like, she's 17. How the hell is she supposed to know who Van Halen is? Do you know who Van Halen is, Taylor?
I've heard of the name, but
Yeah. There's no way Pete knows Van Halen.
Pound cake?
Yeah, I guess then I'm not. If these guys don't know, I would say there's a little bit of obligation, I think, as an artist to know a lot about different artists, but whatever.
Pepsi Clear?
But also,
Girls.
but also who cares? It's
The
like,
new Coke in the 80s?
Yeah.
They had an
I
album
think,
called Fuck.
What do you say?
They had an album called Fuck.
Yeah.
For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge. It was a huge album.
There you go. There's some facts. I think people
Eddie Van
love
Halen?
this moment to like
It's
jump
classic,
on.
yeah, Twitter outrage.
Yeah, like and also it's like she's the biggest artist in the world right now.
Yeah.
She's 17, like whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's
Yeah.
funny.
Anand, what did you see?
As seen on social, Drake today. He must have gotten this from a fan or something because it doesn't look like he created it, but he posted it. It's Drake at the beginning of the decade. And it's a picture of him standing in front of a Virgin Atlantic aircraft with his face on it and the Thank Me Later album cover.
Yep.
And he's like super innocent and proud and looks really young. It's 10 years ago. And at the end of the decade, it's Drake standing in front of Air Drake.
Yep.
And he says, "Wild times. Let's go for another, shall we?"
I gotta be honest though, it didn't start off too bad. You know what I mean? Like
We're
your
still
album
playing.
promo on the side of a Virgin flight. It's not like at leaps and bounds.
But it's crazy that he was that big then, and he's that much bigger
Yeah.
10
10
years
years.
from
You know what
later.
blows my mind about that Air Drake 1 or whatever is, at first I thought it was just kind of some sort of marketing ploy, but like he's been flying it around.
Yeah.
Like I don't know who's paying for it,
It's, I think it's Canada Air.
No
It's like a
way.
partnership.
but he didn't buy the plane.
No,
might
he
be-
doesn't own the plane.
It's the cargo company that he partnered
Well,
with.
I mean,
He's paying for gas.
the Sacramento Kings took that
but
plane.
you know,
from-
to buy that plane, like a Global Express is more expensive than that plane. Like that plane is in the world of buying private aircraft. That's not a very expensive plane to buy.
But aren't those things like $150 million?
No.
Are you sure?
No.
But it's just, I think the oil and maintenance and the landing fees are probably where the bill adds up.
You think
rather
he's
than the
paying that to
one-time-
fly
That's
like
such
him
a
and
big
Chubbs
look.
to the Miami game?
The look is so big.
No, so the Sacramento Kings flew that plane from Sacramento to India for like this NBA preseason thing. Yeah, I don't think they paid market. They probably paid way over market to,
Yeah.
show
He-
off
he
that
likes
they have
to
Air
pay.
Drake.
yeah.
I did a couple deals with those guys. He's a good guy. He's a good guy.
He's a good guy.
I booked probably like 5 or 6 people to do halftime shows there. They pay like 30,000, 40,000. Treat you real nice. It's
a nice arena.
We're talking about the guy.
Yeah,
What's Nani's dad? The daughter and the.
We know.
You know him. It's like all Indians know each other.
Yeah.
I guess.
You know? Dave, do you have anything?
I noticed a very big influx of this prank video.
Which
That's
one?
everywhere, and it's quite funny, I must say.
What is it?
Maybe it's not on the Drake level, but there's a lot of these videos out there of these people that are like at Walmart or Best Buy, and they're throwing blankets or baskets over people's heads.
Yeah.
Why?
And they're acting very
TikTok thing.
surprised. And there is just an influx of this video everywhere. And I must say, it doesn't get old. The comedy is right there. If you're making these videos, keep making them.
Yep. And I got to tell you, that is a TikTok trend
It is. Okay.
that has bled over to Instagram.
Okay.
And well, you throw like the things you throw like a blanket or a bucket on someone else's head, and then you throw it on your own.
Yeah, and then you're like,
So then when they take theirs off, you take yours off. And you're like, oh my god, where are these buckets
it's
raining down?
really funny.
Yeah. Mine on the TikTok trend. Mine is this superstar on TikTok. I don't remember if I talked about it or not. Named Charlie D'Amelio.
Oh yeah.
And the reason being is I think she just hit like 1 million followers or something on Instagram. But this girl has legitimately become, like, she's the first superstar of TikTok in America. And she is like, there's videos of her doing meet and greets and kids in line. Oh my God, I love you. I love your dance videos. I love it. It's just insane. And you really, to me, this is the first time you're seeing a superstar be built off of this new platform. And she just started a YouTube page, which already has like, by now, probably 1 million subscribers. But I checked it. Her first video had 300,000 views.
And the best part about this story is I was talking to Neil, our marketing person at Young and Reckless, and I was like, are we talking to someone with the last name D'Amelio? And he's like, yes, we are. And I'm like, what, give me some context. And he goes, she's the hottest thing on TikTok. Yeah. I was like, oh, really? Because her father is a friend of mine.
Yeah.
And he emailed me and says, hey, I think you're talking to my daughter about,
Hey, I
was like, I got so nervous. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm not talking to your
Who's
daughter.
her dad?
Her dad's someone in the apparel industry that I kind of grew up in the industry with. His name's Mark D'Amelio. I used to travel with him when I was like 21, 22 years old all over the country.
Yeah.
So I became good friends with him. Hadn't seen him or spoken to him in like over 10 years. He has 2, daughters that have grown up, married and all that. Yep. And then he emails me this and I ask our marketing team, full circle, it's the same person.
Because I talked to her manager and she said, oh, her dad knows you guys.
Yeah.
And I thought like, oh, maybe some, like knows of us.
Yeah.
But apparently,
you're
friends.
My prediction with the way people are getting so famous on TikTok is as quickly as they're going to decline.
Yes, but here's the big thing. Just saying. What's happening right now, because I just had a meeting about it, is all of the big YouTube managers and those guys in LA that manage all these YouTubers are grabbing up the star TikTokers and bringing them to YouTube. And on YouTube, you have potentially a way longer career, and there's money already ready to be made.
It's already a machine that you can just plug and play if you have the initial following.
Yeah, so all these like 28-year-old YouTube managers, their new game is hunt down the TikTok stars, plug them into your little brand deals and your AdSense and whatever, and that will be the new model. And I think just like Vine, some will last, and then some might die with the ship if it goes down.
Yeah. They're moving their fans to different platforms pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Which
Taylor has a good story he can share next
Which I
week
think
on.
TikTok is going to figure out. Obviously, they're a very smart company. They probably already figured that out. They're going to learn to...
You just pay them.
Yeah, keep them on.
You pay Charlie D'Amelio.
That's not going to last. You think the Chinese are going to allow that long term?
Shut up in TikTok.
I don't know. Because nobody else has really figured it out the way YouTube has. Meaning like sharing those
You're
ad
going to see some
dollars.
YouTube managers disappear.
Yeah, I know. The way they just share ad, because that's enough of a low-level target that these kids can shoot for that to try to pay rent.
Yeah.
And then you can try to do brand deals and all this other stuff. But even with Instagram, I feel like Instagram for these kids is just an additional marketing thing for YouTube. YouTube's where the money's at.
Okay.
That's all we got, guys.
Great.
That's our new segment. Hope you liked it. I hope you liked our Love and Hip Hop takeover.
Yeah.
Drama-filled.
That was fun.
Yeah.
That was a good time.
Our drama-filled Weintraub
Make some
Wednesdays.
noise. What are we doing for the Young and Reckless Christmas party?
We haven't decided yet.
We're still up in there.
Were we doing something?
We don't know yet.
Well, we're a little late. We had some last-minute collabs come up that kind of were a little late. Took our focus away.
Took the budget.
That
Budget
too.
went here.
That too, yeah.
We had some big things right now.
You can have it
so-
at my house. Let's have your friend perform. Let's have that guy rap.
All right, let's cut it. All right, let's cut it.
Okay, that's it. Subscribe to our newsletter. You'll see this interview on TMZ.